Pardon the entrance, but you're a Hylian, aren't you? I was hoping perhaps you'd have a moment to talk.
Welcome, everybody. This is Alex from Zelda Universe. I'm with a special guest today. I'm here with Jamie Mortellaro. Is that how you say your name?
That's right.
Okay, great. Yeah, and Jamie here is the voice director and voice actor for Prince Sidon from Zelda Breath of the Wild. How you doing, Jamie?
Good. How are you? Good to talk to you. It's nice to meet you finally in person or via Skype. We've sent many messages back and forth.
We're here today to give you some questions that from us from the team at ZU, and also from our amazing and adoring Zelda fans. So, amazing. Oh yeah, Zelda fans are like the best. Like there's no contest. Yeah. Super dedicated, super creative, and super talented. All that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our first question.
Sure.
So you've been voice directing for a long time, like you said, maybe 20 years.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Yeah. So what led you to be given the opportunity to voice direct Breath of the Wild?
Well, it's a long origin story, but I started with my background in college. I worked for Oprah Winfrey all through college, and that was in Chicago. And then I started as a producer at Leo Burnett Advertising, and Leo Burnett Advertising was a big agency. We did everything from Tony the Tiger to Toucan Sam to the Green Giant to McDonald's. It produced a lot of different TV commercials there, and I was hiring guys like Michael Bay, so that was a great place to work. And then when I left Leo Burnett, I started directing TV commercials for a long time. As a matter of fact, I directed the first N64 TV commercial. Ooh. I directed the first Bomberman commercial, and then I directed the first Game Boy Pocket commercials. So I come from a long history with Nintendo, and they've always been great. And then while I was out here directing commercials, my rep said, you should look at video games because the storylines are really amazing, and it was intriguing to me because I played games as a kid and stuff. So I was like, that sounds amazing. So she brought me into some places, interviewed with a few people, and my background was just perfect for this because I also graduated from Second City in Chicago, and I was a founding member of Theater Sports in Chicago, not pursuing directing, but to make me a better writer and director. Not pursuing acting rather, but just to make me a better writer and director. So it was a really perfect storm, and my first game was EverQuest 2, which was 110,000 lines of dialogue. So that was a massive game. Everybody you could name that's a voice actor was in that game. It was massive. So from then on, it just took off from there, and I just never looked back. I've loved it. And when the opportunity to direct Zelda came up, it was amazing. And they didn't tell me, of course, at first, and just like I didn't tell the actors at first. They said, we want to talk to you about this fantasy game, and you might have heard it, we can't tell you yet. Then finally they told me, and you go, oh, yeah, that's big. That's a big game. And I've directed a lot of big games, but you're just so excited, about the franchise. And again, having directed the first N64 commercial, which was Mario, and it was, so you just have a history with Nintendo, and you're going, wait, have they ever? Oh no, they haven't done anything this big, voice for games at all, and as far as voice recording. So when I got that, I was very excited, and when I started casting that was very interesting because we have to sanitize the script so the talent does not know what the project is, and some of them are guessing because a lot of them are friends of mine. They're like, oh, is this, that, and nobody got it though because it was sanitized just right. So that's my origin story that led me to Zelda.
That is crazy. Holy crap. Like, I know you said 20 years, like, beforehand, we talked about how long you've been doing this stuff, like 20 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, about 17 years, yeah, probably 17, yeah, it's close to.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I can't believe it, yeah, really.
But to hear you... But to hear you did like a commercial for the N64, that is crazy.
Nobody knew what it was, when I was trying to explain to people what that, everything was side scroller. And I was like, no, this is a side scroller, but then you go into it. It's XYZ, and they're like, I got it. So as you're going side to side, you're like, but then you go into it. They're like, I got it, but nobody got it until they see it, and it just blew everybody away. And actually the first commercial was called Get Into It.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
very cool. So really, like, when it comes to Breath of the Wild, like, it just became a project that you were given once you eventually were to do voice directing for gaming, correct?
Right, you're brought in, and then you do sometimes a little interview with the developers and stuff. Talk to them about what you're thinking about, and because it was going to be it's a big endeavor. You know what I mean? It's a lot of pressure because nothing has ever been done like that before for the franchise. So there's conversations, but you have to approach it from what I do. You can't put too much pride. You have to just approach it like how you're going to approach everything else. I don't approach anything else except 110%. I'm like just an animal about every project. So you have to approach it that way, and knowing the lore of it, that's exciting too.
Oh yeah, we will definitely get into all of those topics, but let's make sure we take things one at a time, because we will definitely get to those topics. So, how did you go about casting for all of the voice characters for the English dub of Breath of the Wild?
Well, casting process is pretty similar on most of the games. You have a sanitized script. Very few times are you able to tell the agents and talent what the project is. So scripts are sanitized. There's a lot of actors I've worked with for many years and know of people, and I'm always looking for the next voice. And that's one of the biggest things I love about doing what I do, is finding new voices, finding new people that everybody hasn't quite heard yet or don't know about. And I just love that process, finding new people. And I reached out to a lot of great actors, and it was a massive amount of casting, and sent out sides. And then what they do is agents and talent send me their auditions, and I go through a lot of auditions, listening to, and I break it down to the style of how I really want the game to sound. And then I bring it to the clients, and then we bring the talent in to a live audition, and they come in, and everybody's just curious what the hell this thing is, and we're just pushing through, and you break down these two people, these three people, these two people, and you move forward. With Patricia, we knew immediately.
That's great.
We knew immediately.
So, as a follow-up to this question, like, what were your primary reasons for picking the voice actors for this game in particular, like Patricia, Bill Rogers, Sean Chiplock?
Yeah, because there's no reference for precedence for what these characters are supposed to sound like. So as an actor, I'm always telling the other actors to really make strong choices, and that's one of the biggest things, because there might be somebody that surprises you, that it's not exactly what you thought it might be, but a good actor that makes strong choices will stand out. So when they started performing, you could tell very quickly that their style just fits the lore just perfectly. You could just hear the tone, you could hear their style, and there was many fine actors that come in, but when we heard the people we cast, they just fit the mark, just absolutely perfect. I couldn't imagine anybody else in any of those roles.
So, speaking of casting characters for the game, back when the game came out in 2017, oh my god, 3 years ago, how crazy is that?
Yeah, I know, I can't believe it. It's unbelievable.
We didn't know who voiced Prince Sidon. It was a secret for a long time, and we were just like begging for the answer because everybody loves Sidon. So who's the voice actor?
Yeah.
So can you explain to us again, if you have already, why did you keep your role as Prince Sidon a secret for a while?
Well, when Nintendo offered me the role, which was very nice, nobody thought it was going to be what it became. Nobody ever thought it would become that big. They knew the Zora was going to be very popular, but they didn't realize Sidon was going to be that popular. And because I'm a director and I do some voices in some games, but I'm the biggest cheerleader for my actors. I'm the biggest cheerleader. And the last thing I wanted to do was take away any focus from them. I really did not want to take anything away from them. And then Bill was getting the credit for it, and he was like, "You've got to say something. You've got to say something," because people are like, "Wow, you sound so different," you know. And I said, I don't want to take any focus away from you guys. And but then it just became, I had to say something. And Sean had this spectacular reveal on Twitter, you know, that it was me, and it was very nice. And I'm so happy to have done that role. But it wasn't meant to be secret. It was just meant to be not to take any focus away from the amazing cast.
Absolutely. Still, that's pretty admirable of you, though. I'm not gonna lie, but from a perspective of somebody who loves to like put all of the like information together, like get all the correct info down, it was a funny adventure just to like find all the necessary correct information online, like who voices this character.
Yeah. I was
But no.
reading things because they would send some things to me, and I'm like, they're like, you really should say something. You really should say something. But I said, I know, but maybe it'll go, it'll die out a little bit, and everybody will still focus on you guys. And but
it's okay, Jamie. The NDA is lifted now. You can talk about this.
yeah, exactly. But I really would, I was proud to do it, but and then happy to announce. So.
Mm-hmm. So did you expect Sidon to be a fan favorite character?
No.
Like you personally?
Yeah, nobody did. They really didn't. And I got a call from Nintendo saying, yeah, so we knew which race was going to be popular. We just didn't know what character. I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't know. And then you see the way this is written, and you see he's so encouraging, and it's so funny, and I'm that way. Yeah, I'm so that way. I'm really encouraging to you're a director, so you've got to be encouraging and inspiring to your actors. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm kind of like that. So it's kind of funny.
It helps a lot too when it's pretty obvious the game wants you to go to Zoro's domain first.
Yeah,
they don't say explicitly, but like due to convenience of how close it is to where Kakariko Village is, because that's where the game points you to go to first, and then next Zoro's domain is like nearby. Oh, I'll go there first, and then immediately people will be introduced to Sidon first of all other characters.
Yeah.
That won't apply to everybody, but for a majority of people, they'll meet Sidon at some point in their adventure.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. So, what do you like most about voicing Sidon and getting? Yeah.
Well, we talked about it. The client and I talked about it, and it was he's big, so he could have easily been here, and I thought it would be very interesting to make him light and approachable, and we thought that might be a very good way to go with him, and they liked that, so we went with that, and there's no intimidation, although he's giant, and he's huge and he's powerful, but he's very approachable. There's nothing intimidated about him, and I didn't want to bring that to the voice either. I wanted to bring something very approachable and sort of playful a little bit. So you're like, what is this thing that's coming up from, above, out of frame the first time you hear him? So I wanted to bring something just a little bit not on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely tell just from his hearing him. He sounds like a friend, a pal, someone who like your best buddy. Right. Which is
encouraging all the time. There's no hidden motive. There's nothing. Except he just wants you to do well.
Like his famous line, like "Don't give up, I believe in you." Is like, I love this guy. He does the animation smirk very often.
It's so
like
funny.
the shine on his teeth is like
yeah.
It's so cheesy, but like
it works.
He pulls it off really well.
Yeah. And if he had taken himself too seriously, if he had been really powerful and this and that, it might have just been too much. And the fact that he's just light and airy and approachable, I think it makes it all work.
Yeah,
sign at the conventions, I believe in you.
I usually leave the burly and muscly thing to Daruk because that fits him a lot more.
Yeah.
But he's still fun to be around because he's a sweet guy.
Yeah, Joe and Joe it's amazing how many of the actors match the personality of their characters in some way.
It's crazy.
It's really crazy how it matched, and we were all amazed by it. Elizabeth kind of had the same color hair.
I know.
It was crazy. Joe is a big boy. He's just really sweet. He's a big boy. He could lift a car if he needed to, but he's just a very nice guy. And Sean, to give him credit, he's not as snide. But there's just an element of the way Sean matches his characters perfectly.
Exactly.
Same with Mifa. Mifa is very, very pretty and very nice and very
Very
You know, so
delicate.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's great. It's funny how it all just matched together. It's just voice wise and
Yeah,
appearance wise.
it's great. Except me, the Sidon's got about 2 feet on me.
And you aren't a fish either though, so you have that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, there's that.
so voice acting in a mainline Zelda game is pretty much new. What were some of the challenges when it came to giving voice direction and like just creating these voices for these characters?
Well, there's a lot of time is money. So there's not unlimited funds and stuff like that. So you're getting your stuff done in the time you're needed to get things done. And anime is when they do anime dubs, it's a little more forgiving than what we were doing on Zelda, because Zelda, the lip capture, the motion capture, all the lip movements were captured by the Japanese speakers. So now you have perfect lip movement, and I believe in like when you're doing anime, there's maybe 5 or 6 different mouth movements. So it was very tricky. It was almost like doing true ADR, where you're matching lip flaps, because if you were off, it was very obvious. So that was quite a challenge for everybody. And Nintendo is amazing all the way around. I mean, everything we're doing is only because of them. You know what I mean? With this project. So they have Ed Murray was the writer on that, and you're trying to match dialogue into these lip movements that are originally in Japanese. So he's writing dialogue, and we're adjusting while we're working. But that was a challenge. That is a technical challenge. The emotional challenge of finding these characters and who they are and how far they're going to go in their emotions for each scene. That's something that you feel in the moment. You know the script, you read the script over and over and over, and then you get the actor, and they're going to bring what they believe the moment is going to be, and then you make adjustments from there, and you get, okay, how far would they go here? How upset would they be? How encouraging would they be? How happy would they? There's so many different ways to paint a picture. So there's a lot of adjustments going on, constant adjustments.
Absolutely.
It's the best part of it. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you have a game where it specifically is made to include voice acting for the first time.
Yeah.
And honestly, it looks like it paid off really well. Everybody did their roles.
They did a great job. I thought the actors did a great job. And again, approaching it, you have to approach this, even though it's a giant franchise, 30-year-old franchise, you have to approach it the same way you approach any project. You have to approach it, because if you put that pressure on the actors and on yourself, it really seize up.
So we talked about voicing the actors and everything for their characters, but if Link could talk, how would you have voice directed him?
If Link could talk, wow, that obviously must have been a big conversation, at Nintendo, how, because I don't think anybody would be completely happy no matter what was done, because some people might be happy, and then some people, no, that's not how I thought he would sound. So there's, I think that's the reason why he's never going to, I can't imagine he's going to ever have lines, but you never know. Anything can happen. Once in a while, Maggie says a line on The Simpsons. Once in a blue moon. So,
Yeah.
But I think you'd have to, in my opinion, you look at his size, how big he is. So you have to adjust for that. He's in a world where it's a fantasy. So there's a light English mid-Atlantic thing going on. You would, I would take it, start with the physical, and then, he's not overtly emotional either. So there's a metered tone that I would go for with him, and he would be a little bit of everybody. In my humble opinion, that's where I would go with him, so that he's a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. What type of voice range do you think he would have? Like medium to high?
I think it would be somewhere in medium.
Medium.
Go too high, then maybe he's too much of a boy.
Yeah.
If you go too low, it doesn't match his size. So I would say you're medium towards light, maybe a couple, unless if there's a big emotion, maybe you'd hear him project a little more.
Yeah, because he screams a lot. Well, he doesn't scream as much in this game, but normally Link is well known for screaming a lot of grunts and stuff, like yeah. stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's got to have some lungs in there too.
Oh, absolutely. He's strong. I mean, he's like, he's powerful. But, so let's say when he's, like you're saying, a yah or a strike, he would have power in there. Mm-hmm. But his normal conversation might be more medium, medium.
Yeah. It's like very, very like, down to earth, really. I think a lot of us see Link as a character that we can relate to, just to be him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is to be a little bit of everybody, and very approachable, not intimidating. Not he's got to be just we'd have to be a very likable, approachable voice.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and move on to the fan questions. We got a couple of questions that were asked by multiple people, so I include as many people as I can. Andrea Sostar and Tippy Town. They were asking, in what sections of the game do you believe that the voice direction was really good, and where were some areas where you thought you could have improved on? Maybe there were some restrictions, limitations, or things learned after. Thanks.
Well, this is something that, every game I think you look at and you go, oh, maybe I should have done that, or could we have done that? So I don't think there's ever a time, there's not anything in there that I go, oh, the actor failed, or they did this or that. There's not really any moment that I think that. But I think that every game, you're always, any artist, actor, painter, director, you're always going to go, should we have done that, or could we have done that, and what would have been better here? So you always do that, but I'm very happy with what the actors achieved, and we would not have moved on if we didn't get what we wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because is that always like the way of directing is like the director always gets what they want in a way?
Yes, I mean it's sometimes it's very collaborative too. Depending on what developer you're working with. I'll have my vision, and I'm always going to make sure my client's happy with that too. Mm-hmm. And but you're not going to move on until you get what you want, and it's a sad day when you really have to move on because of time, and time is money. Like I said, there's a ticking time clock, so you've got to get done. You got to move. There's a budget to everything. So
I guess I want to pick this one part of the question is like, what part, I guess, of recording for a scene did you like a lot, like that you felt really was like what was the scene you felt really moved by when it was being recorded?
Well, I loved when Patricia was talking to her father, and he was sort of chastising her on the bridge there, and it was very emotional. It was very tender. It was very sweet, and so I really liked that moment. That was a lot of work in there, and so I thought she did a great job. And I love when Sean is on the dock with Link and first taunting him and testing him. There was a lot of nuance there, because you don't want to go too dark. You still have to like Raleigh, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You still have to like him. So there's a lot of delicate balance there, and I thought Sean just killed it. All the actors I thought did just a great job in all those moments. But just off the top of my head, those two moments are just really wonderful. Exactly.
That's awesome. So next question comes from Tycario43. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Yeah. But Tycario43 is asking, what was your favorite moment from Breath of the Wild by any chance? Like, I know it might be limited for how much you've seen of the game, but your favorite moment just in general from Breath of the Wild.
Well, that would be tough. Well, I'll start with my favorite moment of Breath of the Wild is most of it, because there's so many great moments that there's not one that stands out more than others, because there's so many great moments that I really loved working on, and so many things I've seen and in playing. I do love I know I'm Prince Sidon, but the Zora is just amazing. That area is just it's just beautiful. But like performance-wise, it's very similar to the last question. It's just watching Patricia and watching her transformation and her arc of her character was really wonderful to watch, to see that transition and that transformation of her. So there's so many little moments that I love throughout it that it's hard to pick one exact moment. Except, of course, when you see Prince Sidon. That's my favorite.
Well said. Well said. Kyle Lee is asking, one thing that puzzled me the most is why change certain characters entirely? Like in the English version, Sidon sounds much more calm and Yonobu sounds way older. And sometimes it's hit or miss for me because while I like young adult Yonobu, Sidon loses his overflowing energy. So my overall question is, how or why do the characters' performance significantly change sometimes when their framework is already in the Japanese version?
Well, we don't always, I mean, you really never, when you're doing localization, a lot of times it could throw you if you're listening to the original recordings, because different languages have different intentions and different tones and different expressions, and the words are not in this, the emphasis is not in the same place. So we don't really look at that too much. We're going for what we believe is right for the moment, for the character in the intention of that moment. So we really don't go back and listen to that.
I gotcha.
Yeah. If there's a yell or there's a scene where Zelda cries, and we wanted to see how far they went to make sure the animation matches a little bit. But in general, it could just throw you. Because
Gotcha.
even other games that are even like I've directed a lot of Final Fantasy games, and it could throw you. So we don't. I rarely play what was previously recorded.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
All right. Yeah. This comes from Gerudo Fortress. They're asking, why do some characters have British accents and others don't? I thought it was royalty thing, but Urbosa and Riju don't have that accent.
Well, that's a great question, and it's something we talked about a lot. This is a giant kingdom, and if everybody sounded the same, it wouldn't feel like it was different factions and different places, these faraway places. There's no airplanes getting from place to place. They have to go on horseback or walk. So just like in the real world, from hundreds of years ago, in different parts of Europe and the United States, people sound very different. So the idea of having them all sound the same we really didn't want to go there. Yes, there's royalty, and you could hear with Elizabeth does both those characters, and you could hear just a very slight, slightly mid-Atlantic, very light, because we didn't want to go that far, because then she might sound like everybody else. So we wanted a very. And of course, you can't start doing a New York accent in Hyrule, So we have to stay within that world, within the world of Hyrule. But you don't want them to sound the same, because then it seems like they're from the same clan.
Then it kind of loses like their like character in their cultural circles, because they all come from different races, like Gorons, Zoras, Gerudo, Hylians. Everybody has like a different sounding accent.
But yet you have to sort of stay in that same world, what I mean?
The realm.
Right, because you can't have something which sounds like, oh, that sounds American, or that sounds like an accent from Europe. You have to be very careful. You have to stay within the fantasy accent, that sort of established world of fantasy accents.
Exactly. And there's a whole thing, you can go on about that, but we'll say that for another day. So next up, Jay loves things. What do you think Sidon does in his spare time?
I think he whittles. No, I think he does good for his neighbors. I really do. I think he's the guy that's going to help his the grouper that lives next door, and help the old lady across the street. And I really do think he's a good guy, thinking of what's right for everybody and not just himself. I really do think that's what type of character he is. If somebody needs help, he's there, and he's going to protect the little guy. I really believe he's that way.
He's the local hero.
Yeah, I think so. Without taking too much, without acting like the hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He is. I don't see him as a guy who likes to show off, just like a guy who does things because he knows he needs to do them.
Yeah.
In a way.
It's a great question.
All right. So next up, from Highly Farov, they're asking, were you a fan of the Zelda series before you landed the role?
I was a fan of everything Nintendo. So again, my roots go back so far with Nintendo that I was a fan of everything Nintendo. And more Mario, but I knew everything about Zelda, and I knew all the games that had come out, so I was a fan. Mario more so, but Zelda, of course. I mean, how could you not? It's
Of course.
right there with Mario.
Yeah.
And it's great about Nintendo.
Exactly.
I
So
also directed something Nintendo that I didn't say before. I directed a big sales film for Nintendo that was for Diddy Kong.
oh,
Yeah, Diddy Kong. It was like a 10-minute video for internal purposes. But it was a really fun little project. So I've done a lot of projects for Nintendo, live action directing.
that is really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, as a follow-up question to the previous one, it's Cosmic is asking, besides Breath of the Wild, what is your favorite Zelda game, if you have one?
Well, there's a bunch of them. Yeah, as far as ones that I've directed or played.
Played. Which game of the Zelda series do you like a lot? Like Ocarina of Time?
Ocarina of Time is really
okay.
Fun. Yeah,
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned it.
Any particular reason why?
I just love the idea of that game and the storyline. And it's so funny. Sometimes you go to the conventions and you see people with the ocarinas and playing them. So, and I'll walk by or something, and then they'll maybe recognize me or something. And they'll start playing as they walk by. It's very.
That's awesome. All right, and then Space Trip Toad's asking us a pretty interesting question. Do you know what led to the decision of having you voice two different intro cutscenes for Prince Sidon? Because, funny thing, he has two types of cutscenes where he's introduced.
Yeah.
So, did you have any insight to that, or like, how did you like learn about it? I guess just like.
Well, apparently, if I'm not mistaken, there's a shortcut, so you can get to Zora quicker. So there was two different ways to introduce him when he first meets Link, because Link sort of breaks in, if I'm not mistaken, to that area, and he's not supposed to be there. So I think there was one where it was just a shortcut, and I thought it was really brilliant that they didn't just have him be friendly again. Hello, how are you? He was like, hey, who are you? Why are you here? He's protecting the kingdom, and that was kind of, I thought, a really brilliant way to have two different ways to introduce him.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, funny thing, because for me, I just did not travel to where Sidon would be. I just made my way to the Zora's domain, just normally, and like I had to be a bit more sneaky with it, but I managed to make it without him stopping me, because he can actually stop you in 3 different points in the game.
Yeah.
But you can, if you get by them, you can actually just meet him at the king's throne. Funny thing.
Yeah,
nope, I didn't know that for a while.
There's so many great things. I get so many comments from people about the gameplay, and going to these conventions, and there's so many different ways you can play this game. It's got so much replayability.
Exactly. How do you feel about the Link and Sidon shipping?
Well, it's funny. When I first the game first came out, and people were like, they would call me and say, hey, that's great, congratulations. I'm like, yeah. Have you seen any artwork online? I'm like, no. They go, oh, you should check it out. I'm like, oh my. Apparently they've become very close friends. I'm looking in the script. I'm like, I don't see both. It's apparently they've become very close.
They are very good friends.
I get that question a lot. People bring artwork to me. I'm like, I can't sign that. I would love to, but I just.
I imagine.
Friends, and I don't judge the relationship. I think it's amazing.
I imagine. But so aside from that, this question comes from my buddy Super MC Gamer. He's asking, since Sidon is a royal character, were there considerations of his mannerisms, especially when characters like King Dorfan didn't have voices to play off of? Which I think we may have answered already, because we talked about how Sidon was voiced. But do you want to elaborate?
Sure, I think so. As far as his physical manner or his vocal manner, because his
vocal manner.
Right. I just thought he would be, knowing the gameplay, knowing how things and how encouraging he was going to be. I really felt like he was going to be a good prince, a likable prince, a prince of the people, so that he would not be intimidating. So his voice wouldn't be so powerful that he might just put people off even for a second. I wanted him to be immediately approachable, immediately somebody that you would like, and the good prince in the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what
Absolutely. Very cool. And I guess just to wrap things up, what was something you enjoyed about voice directing each of the characters and along with their voice actors?
My favorite thing about directing all the actors in Breath of the Wild was just their unwavering enthusiasm for this project. And they, from the beginning, each one of them was absolutely just, once they found out, and that was really so exciting. I wish I had a camera for each time I told somebody, okay, this is Zelda. And like I said, I always tell about Sean, Sean kind of squealed and ran to the bathroom. And I say it in front of him and we laugh all the time because it's very excited. And every one of them knows Zelda, knows how big this project's going to be. And it was just a wonderful thing to be able to tell Patricia, saying, this is Zelda. And she's like, that's a big, like, not that she doesn't know games, but I was like, things, you're going to be going to some conventions and things like that. And people are going to be very excited. And she is so talented. She's so good. She's so approachable. Her voice is just like, and she's a trained singer and she's got albums out and she's very, very, very talented. And she was a perfect princess. All of them. Someone like Joe, he's such a great guy and he's such a big guy and he comes in there and he's got such a great attitude and he does so many different things. He's Crush at Disneyland, and he does so many great voices. So having him in there and just his presence is, it's like he's like a big bear hug. You know what I mean? And I could go through all of them. And Sean, Sean's so multi-talented. He's got so much range and so much passion for voice acting. He's got such passion for voice acting. It's amazing to watch him. And he takes direction and he listens. And I remember the first time he saw Rivali, the first image, it just watching his eyes light up, seeing that image was just so moving. Really, I'm telling you, you're in the room and you watch people the first time they see their characters. It's very moving. And Amelia was great. She's just very sensitive and very sweet and very, very approachable and having that vulnerability for her caring for Link without being overt about it. That was amazing. And and then we've got Andy too. Andy she was wonderful. Yeah, she was great and she's a very fun person, and bringing her character to life was just a real joy too. So, I mean, literally, I could probably spend a half hour on each. I'm giving you like sort of a overview, very little overview on each of them. And Elizabeth, Elizabeth is just just so good, and just again, just a joy to work with, and so talented, and again, I'm just giving a generic overview sort of these because I could spend quite a bit of time in each one because we spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, I just love gushing about voice actors so much because they're all just like really talented people and just.
I do. I love them. I love them because voice acting is different than on camera. On camera, you could have a look. You can't do that. You can't do that voice acting. It has to come from the heart. Everything has to come from here. It's so difficult. And when you see these emotional moments from voice actors in a game, and when you're in the room watching these moments, watching that unfold, it's really special. And again, one of my favorite things in the world to do is finding new voices and finding new people and finding that special person that's going to be the next person you hear and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's honestly just amazing how we were able to not really we, but it's just amazing that the art of voice acting was able to be brought to the Zelda series in a very proper and cared for way. It was taken very seriously, which I really admire a lot.
And again, I gotta keep on saying it, but Nintendo, they're amazing. They're amazing. They are great people, great developers, and there's not an I that's not dotted. They just are really on top of it and care so much about their IPs. Yeah, they really care.
Their games, everything. I totally agree. Absolutely.
Working so, a long time.
I can imagine how insane that must be for you. Just given the opportunities like that.
Yeah, I love it.
It's great.
I'm as enthusiastic about projects now as I was when I first started. You know, I'm always like,
just by looking at what appears to be an undead Ganondorf in Breath of the Wild 2, how would you voice direct him?
you know, it's got to be like a James Earl Jones quality. You know what I mean? If you're going to go there, it's got to be something. It's got to be something that's other, you know, in the world, but otherworldly. You'd almost have to put some type of treatment on it to feel like it's giving it justice, giving it that, you know, voice of God is really what you'd be going for.
Honestly, the only thing I can pick from that is like making him sound very dry and breathy and very, you know, deep. And it's kind of hard to do that and make it sound convincing.
Yeah, it'd have to be otherworldly, you know, so he separates from everybody else. So he's not like everybody else.
Oh no!
Separate.
Jamie, thank you again for taking the time to talk with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all the fans too that love Breath of the Wild. You know, everybody appreciates it so much, and we're the passion you have for the game is, you know, we have so much passion for working on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I cannot imagine how it must feel to have directed a game that has gotten perfect scores over the boards across all gaming sites and news outlets, and been awarded Game of the Year, like, or not just Game of the Year, but like a ton of awards over the past 3 years.
Yeah, it was.
And you have a sequel in development too, which is insane.
Yeah, I was very proud to work on that. And again, I've worked with Nintendo for a long time, and anything I've worked on Nintendo, I love it. And Zelda was just such a special project. And the client and the cast and the recording studio, Formosa, everything was just, everybody treated it the way it should be treated, with reference to just the lore of it was, you know, just took everybody's breath away. Get it?
Amazing. Had to end it there. So, yeah. Jamie, you have something you want to share with everybody, do you?
Yes, I do have something to announce. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. It's a Triforce Nightlight and a Zelda hat that I'll be signing as a giveaway. And then we're going to do a second and a third giveaway. And what we're all going through here worldwide through this pandemic, and everybody trying to do what they're supposed to do and stay at home and stay in place. It's the very least I could do for the Zelda fans. So I'm really happy to do it, and I'm really excited to do the giveaway.
Absolutely, really appreciate that, Jamie. That's just very thoughtful of you. Just very, very appreciative.
Yeah.
Especially in these times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you again, Jamie, for being here with us.
Thank you.
Hopefully this won't be the last.
No, love it. Love it. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for the fans, and thank you for such a great job. What you do, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, and we'll see you next time, and we'll see you later, man. You have a good day.
Thanks, man.
And see you guys. You guys have a good day too.
Take care.
See ya.